All right, everyone. It looks like the gameplay's rolling. Well, the video I have going on here. So, yeah, let's do this. Welcome, welcome, welcome to yet another episode of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, with this being show number 259. I am your host, Invader, and we have a lot of things to discuss tonight. The Xbox Developer Direct has come and gone with some new info and reveals. We will certainly dive into all that. I'm feeling the positivity air just kind of flowing already. Looking forward to it. As well, GoldenEye 007 got a surprise release, and it is out now. It came and went, and yeah, we'll give you all our thoughts on the classic game and so much more. But first, everyone, let me make the rounds and introduce everybody on the panel tonight, all the members. Starting off with Crusader. Pal, how you been?
I'm good. I've been playing Mass Effect over the last couple weeks. A little game, another game in there we're gonna be talking about here in a little bit. I don't want to talk about that right now, but there's another little game in there that I've been playing. That's a doozy that we'll be talking about.
Peppa Pig,
Other than
yes.
that, it's been good. Just kind of casually playing Mass Effect. I'm like halfway, three-quarters way through Mass Effect 2.
All right. All right, that's cool. That's cool. I know how much you like to do your Mass Effect rounds. I don't blame you one
Once
bit.
a year. Once a year at a minimum.
Yeah, like me with Halo. So I totally know where you're coming from. Guys in the chat, I mean, yeah, if you do you guys have a game that you do like once a year, just kind of you make the round because you just love that game so much. Again, with me, it's Halo, like Halo 2 specifically. Crusader loves Mass Effect. Please let me know in the chat. Moving on down here, Centurion, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty damn good, man. It's freaking Sunday night. I have finally recovered from being sick. I can talk without having to gasp for air or feel like I got to blow my nose. So I'm excited about that. Coming off of for me, the ZeniMax Direct or the Developer Direct from ZeniMax over on ESO, along with the Xbox Direct. And also, let's see, I finally was able to hammer out playing Midnight Suns. I actually had a lot of fun playing it, put in a lot more time than I thought I would with it. They just dropped Deadpool as their first DLC story. It was small, but I mean, I enjoyed it. And started up on Dead Space. Yeah, thanks, by the way, General MLD. Freaking peer pressure is a mother effer.
You're welcome.
Freaking, he's like that guy in the dark alley. He's just like, hey, just buy a bag. Just buy a bag. Go on, get some. Just put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah.
I was like Shia LaBeouf, just like, do it.
Oh,
Just do it. Just do it. Well, speaking.
Let's do it. No, I'm playing.
Oh, let's do it. Oh yeah.
let's do
High
it.
life callback. Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah, all the guys playing High Life will know what that's about. All right. Speaking of the General, Mr. General MLD, buddy, how's things at your end? I know you got some gaming in.
Oh yeah. I am spoiled for choice. That's for sure. I mean, I was playing like a nice indie JRPG, Chained Echoes, but now I put that on hold because we got like Hi-Fi that dropped. Played GoldenEye as well a little bit. So I'd say we're aiming pretty good here. And I mean, I have Dead Space, but it's still coming in the mail, unfortunately. So it gives me some time to play these games as well. But it is a great start to the year so far.
I could not agree more. There's lots of surprises already, and it was already looking like a pretty solid list of games coming up. So jam packed. Yeah. So I like my schedule, like my free time, is just gonna be eaten up by a lot of games going forward. Moving on down here, Eric Shockley, pal, how's things been at your end?
Pretty good. Just been enjoying all the onslaught of games I didn't expect dropping this week. Thought it was just like, cool, I'm off this weekend, so I'm just gonna, bask myself in a Dead Space remake. But what do you what do you know? Some shadow drops and well, I guess kind of like two shadow drops because we never knew when Goldeneye was gonna drop until they just made that announcement. I think it's like was it like on the same day as a
Close to it.
yeah,
Like a day later, I think.
No, they announced it that morning.
Oh, it
Oh,
was.
yeah, like
wow.
Nintendo
before, yeah.
announced it, and then Microsoft put up their trailer like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I
later.
think Rare. I think I saw Rare like announce it really early too,
Yeah,
or maybe right after Nintendo did.
yeah, it was right
Yeah.
after Nintendo
Hey,
did.
If I could
Oh,
add
yeah.
something, Shockley,
Oh.
there's a lot of people that are confused on how they own GoldenEye, considering it's a Game Pass thing or because of Rare
Mhm.
Replay. A lot of people don't remember, but many moons ago, when Xbox actually had Mixer, they actually had those packages where if you watched the show through
Yeah.
Mixer, you would get like pretty much these like gift baskets. And one year they actually gifted out Rare Replay.
Mhm.
A lot of
Oh,
people
wow.
do not realize that they actually own digital versions of Rare Replay, which is why you pretty much own GoldenEye.
Yeah, that was me. I am one of those people. I never purchased Rare Replay, but it was like, you own this, and I'm like, I own this, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of people don't realize it, but yeah, it was also the funny part is you got oh my god, I think it was called the Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
The Outer Wilds.
Mhm.
It was a package. You got the Outer Wilds and you also got Rare Replay, and everybody kind of forgot about both of them, especially with how the Outer Wilds was actually delayed because it was actually like a pre-order thing and then it vanished and reappeared.
Oh yeah, it was funny. Everybody was like blaming Rare, like, how can you guys screw over the physical owners of not being able to have access GoldenEye? But they clearly stated, which everybody still didn't read, where the licenses for the digital and the physical are different. Just remember, you can't buy this, so neither Nintendo or Xbox or Microsoft can sell the copy. They literally couldn't even touch it, other than just like upscaling the image to like 4K. So they literally can't go in there and like do anything with, because if it's kind of like that thing, if you recreate or alter the art, it kind of like changes the license. So they can't even touch it. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, we can't even sell it to you, but we've come to agreements where Nintendo people can access it through a subscription and Xbox people can. Somehow Microsoft got them to allow some way to buy it in a sense with, hey, if you go buy digital Rare Replay when it's on sale for like $7, you basically are kind of owning it. But it's kind of their way of like, hey, if we have to, we never sold it to you technically, if we have to pull it because of licenses issues in the future. So, because that could happen.
Right.
So
We all have the digital ones, but funny part is I actually have a physical copy of it running around in here.
So do I. So do I.
Yeah.
I got that, and I even ordered like a special edition like E3 promo for the Rare Replay too. I had to have it.
It threw GameStop off when I showed up the day it came out, and I was like, "I'm here for Rare Replay on day one," and they're like, "Why?" It's freaking Rare Replay, man. That's a grip of games that you're getting.
I am upset.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug.
I am upset though. They said about Rare Replay, like if you had it, then you'd get, and it even has the label on the picture. It says Rare Replay like on the title for the game. But I was hoping they would like integrate it into like when you actually open up Rare Replay game, like you could access it through there, and then you know if you like the game enough or whatever, a lot of those games you get like those developer like video that you never saw about like how they made the game and just like other details. So I was like hoping this would be an interesting game for that. So, but
that's probably
we're gonna
why
get
the
that.
physical owners don't get it, by the way, because they couldn't do it that way. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That because if they did, that would just be an update to Rare Replay.
Yeah.
And then they could apply that update because they're still one SKU. You don't have to, if you download it digitally and have a disc, you don't have two different installs on your console. It's just a distribution license thing. So like looking at it, that it looks like it's all kinds of a mess. It's a miracle that actually got released. It is a miracle.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we'll never get that 360 remaster that I was hoping they were working on when you saw the achievements update. It's like, oh, that must be what they're going to do. But it's like, nope, because that would change the license. You would literally have to do a whole new contract stuff. Yeah. Never
Mhm.
gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I'd love to touch on that a little later, but you're right.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right, Eric. And Tim Dog, buddy, great to see you, man. How's things?
Yeah, guys, how you doing? I'm at my friend's house right now, so I'm here for a little. I just wanted to stop in, watching the game. But yeah, we had a great week. I'm playing Hi-Fi Rush, and let's get to the show, and I'll give you a couple of insights or whatever. And then if I do leave, it's because I'm at my friend's, and we're just gonna end up watching this game.
All right. Hey, sounds great, Timmy.
Well, do we want to have Tim start the section then, so he can go right now?
Yeah, that's probably the best idea.
Okay, all right, that's no problem. I'll just say, just before we begin, guys, just a quick reminder to share this show out, guys. Everybody tuning in right now, because again, we would love more people to be here, and we'd love to see all the people chatting and sharing like the love about games and whatnot. Hey, you know what? And also give a like, because believe it or not, it helps us out with the algorithms. Like, it really does. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get right into things. Let's start talking about the big news of the week, guys. The Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct. We got a bunch of release dates for some games, and even some new stuff announced as well, some surprises. And one of which is, the talk of the town recently. I won't mention it right now, though. I definitely want to get everybody's thoughts here about the Direct. Yeah, Timmy, please take the floor. What are your thoughts on it?
So I went into that day thinking that they really had to hit it. The day before prior, they had the financial results. A lot of negativity was going around. People saying Xbox is dead. Stuff like we just need Sony and Nintendo. I seen a lot of really negative stuff going. And I think it's what the doctor ordered just for Xbox, because it's what it needed. And that's specifically the shadow drop of Hi-Fi Rush, which I'm going to go into before I'm just going to outline the show. I think that they showed what we expected. One of the downsides of the Direct was Forza didn't have a date. I think Minecraft Legends looked pretty cool. It's multiplayer. I think everyone's going to play it. I think it'll be a very popular game coming out. I think August 2nd or no, I'm sorry, April 18th. So it's whatever. They dated that. They showed Forza, which I feel was absolutely stunning. But the no date was a disappointment. I don't know how they're going to work that out. There's this speculation that they're delaying it. I think that's probably. I think it's more delays to Spot itself and Starfield. Tomorrow, I'd say check. This is nothing I heard, but make sure you check the PR wire. You'll have an idea if the Starfield show is going to be closer rather than later. So they could, if they announce it tomorrow, that could line up with the Super Bowl and everything like that, like we were talking about last week. Redfall, I felt looks pretty good. I got people complaining about the graphics. What I'd recommend you do is watch this stream in 4K, because watching it on the phone, that hurts that game, Redfall. You could watch, Forza, and it looks still pretty good, but it hurts what the compression and everything I felt hurt Redfall as far as, the way it looks. Now, I don't think it's going to be a graphical masterpiece. I don't think Arcane has ever been that. They've done Dishonored, and it's pretty good graphics. But I rewatched it in 4K, and it definitely makes a bigger difference. I'll definitely say that. And then we have the talk of the town, which is Hi-Fi Rush. I know Crusader's been really following it. We've both been tracking it. Like, me and him were really like right on it, because I looked and when I saw the trailer, I'm thinking this game looks good, but I think that it's gonna get. People are going to try to throw it under the bus. Say it's a cartoon game, start up the narratives, and then lo and behold, we get a shadow drop. And I think a shadow drop is Microsoft's new secret weapon for games that I don't think it's going to be Starfield or bigger AAAs, but games that they can get out there and kind of make the game produce the narrative rather than the usual process it goes through. So Hi-Fi Rush comes out, looks good. Then they do the Shadow Dance, which was excellent, and I believed really helped the Forza delay because I think people were upset about that. But when they had Hi-Fi Rush, kind of quieted that stuff down because people like they got a good game out of nowhere, and sure enough, the game is really good. I've been playing it. Metacritic, I think, is going to be it's an 88, but I think you should watch that tomorrow. I think a ton of reviews are going to come in Monday and Tuesday, and that's number 7 on Steam's bestseller, which is pretty. You know what? It's extremely impressive, and the reason why that is because their sales charts goes by revenue, and as you know, the game is $30, so it's half the price of, say, a AAA or these other games that are up there. So for it to be there was like really super impressive. It's definitely selling well. I know that my Xbox itself was very happy with the presentation and format of the show. I think going forward, this is going to be a template. I also heard that this is really Bethesda's hands all over it. And if you guys remember, Bethesda always had really awesome shows, when they were independent. So I think Peter Hines and his team definitely were looked at and leaned on this, and they came up gold. And the big talk was the shadow drop, but the even bigger talk is Xbox got a gem of a game. It's fun, it's funny, it looks good, the sound design is nice. If you're into rhythmic combat, that itself is like a game within a game. So yeah, I couldn't be happier. They really shut up the haters, and it's been a pretty interesting couple of days since, because it's like, there's a lot of people that just like live to hate on Xbox, and Xbox threw a monkey wrench into the whole thing, because now you're looking at a very strong year, but now you're looking at a very strong year with a game that nobody expected. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure I want to hear what you guys say, and then I'm going to drop off. But like, I'm just like really from being as down as I was the day before about Xbox to being, jubilant. Like the last 3 days were like really great. I see a lot of people happy, and just look at the comments of Hi-Fi Rush. This is not a fanboy thing or anything. People genuinely love the game, and they're really going out and they're really making their points about it. And I do think that it has a potential to be a 90 plus Metacritic. We'll see. You'll get a better idea. I say tomorrow morning or tomorrow during the day, because I think there'll be like 10 or 15 reviews that drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like if I can just chime in here, guys.
Sure.
I've only played for about an hour, because I've been switching between that and like Goldeneye, because Goldeneye's been taking up a lot of time. But so I went into this game, just with an open mind. I wasn't expecting very much, and I gotta admit, I'm really into it. I'm gonna be switching. I'm gonna be playing it again for the next week. And I love the art style. The animation is very, very fluid. It's excellent. Voice acting's good. And the combat itself is interesting. I'm not really into rhythm games, but this one, I don't know. It has me very intrigued. It feels very good. And I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with it so far, and I just find the story interesting, the design of enemies, and it's a blast right now. And even the music that they've chosen, I really, I don't know, I really like it too. Crusader Bud, why don't you chime in here, because I know you've spent time with it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so, I thought the show was crap. I'm kidding, Chad. I'm kidding. I love the show. All right. No, tonight's positive Crusader night. No one starts typing in chat. Oh my god. No. I thought the show was excellent. To put some context in, I didn't even think I was gonna get to watch the show live. I was supposed to be on site at a location doing a Wi-Fi survey to figure out where to put access points in, but we got a large amount of snow, and I actually got to work from home that day, so I actually did end up getting to watch it. And I was going in very lukewarm. I was expecting to come on this show and be like, yeah, it's pretty good, right? And like, they showed off Minecraft Legends, and I'm like, shit, this looks fun, right? Because like, I think this is the first time they showed off the PvP, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this looks great. And then they showed off the Forza stuff, and my heart kind of sank when there was no, like, it was great. I was like, oh my god, this looks great. The game looks great. It looks good. And then they showed no release date, and my heart sank, and I'm like, no. They can't have the second game already have no release date. I started to fear. And then the Hi-Fi Rush comes on. I'm like, this looks like a freaking banger, right? Because I had known a couple things a little bit. I didn't know it was going to definitively be shown off that day, but I knew they were going to show it off soon. It had showed up in some internal databases, and I had been going back and forth with some people about it. But I knew they were going to show it off soon. However, it was not what we thought it was, which begs the question, what is this concept art for a different game at Bethesda that we've seen? But that's a whole different can of worms that I don't want to go into tonight. Because the rumor was that this game was going to be a like super artistic like FPS, and it obviously is not.
So I need to interject here. So there's different artwork going around?
Well, so there was a big people who had been like concatenating and conglomerating leaks and stuff. We thought we had put together what Hi-Fi Rush was based on concept art that had leaked like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Out of, I don't even remember out of Bethesda generically, right? And so that I can bring up that there's a Reddit thread about it. I think I posted it in the Discord here at some point. Okay. that we're sitting in right now. But yeah, and so this wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Yeah, there's a Reset Era thread that is basically a copy paste of the Reddit thread.
Someone saying a space shooter. Someone saying it was a space shooter.
Yeah, so we don't really know what that concept art was from. No idea. Not even sure if it's like anything more than a prototype, right? No idea. But and like they're showing Hi-Fi Rush off, and I'm like, this stuff looks great. And I'm on Twitter because I want to see what everyone else is saying. Because I love like live tweeting the shows and like watching other people live tweet the shows. I think it's really fun. And lo and behold, Mr. Aaron Greenberg ruined the surprise for me. Because about 5 minutes before it was actually said in the show, he had said dropping live on Game Pass today, and I was like, what? Right before it had even been dropped by the guys at Tango on stream, I had known Mr. Aaron Greenberg had tweeted out on Twitter. I was like, holy crap! And so that for me makes up for anything to do with that is the only way they could get away with not dating Forza was having the shadow drop, and this shadow drop was brilliant. I've already beaten the game personally. I loved it. It was great. I'm gonna go back at some point and do collectibles and stuff, but like I did beat it from start to finish. I really enjoyed it. It actually knocked Plague Tale Requiem out of my top 5.
Ooh.
I sat on that for 2 nights to decide whether or not it would, and it really did. I love everything about the game. I love the characters, the music, the sound design, the art style, the way it somehow magically transitions from like 2D to 3D, and like from like what looks like like 2D art cutscenes to like 3D art cutscenes to like 2D gameplay to 3D gameplay. It's wild what they're doing with it. Like really, really, really cool stuff. I absolutely love it. And like Tim said, I've been following the Steam chart stuff pretty heavily. And right now it is sitting at almost 3,400 overwhelmingly positive reviews. So it's 3,400 reviews on Steam, and 98% of the reviews are positive. Because Steam only has a plus or a positive or a negative. They don't have like rate it 0 out of 10. It's a finger up or a finger down. And so 98% of the reviews on Steam are positive out of 3,400 people. And the game, to match a $70 game, 2.3 copies of Hi-Fi Rush have to sell to match. And it is blowing several games away that like it shouldn't. Like it's blowing away live service games like Destiny 2 and Apex Legends, and I think the only one that it can't beat is CS:GO, but like that's CS:GO. It's like Steam's eternal money sink. And it's just doing so well. And it's, I mean, to put it in perspective, Shadow Drop launched this week with no marketing leading up to it, no pre-orders. It just launched and to go, and it's at the top. And like Forspoken, the Square Enix title that launched at $70, right? So it only needs to sell one copy for every 2.3 that Hi-Fi Rush would sell, is in like the 30s to 60s, depending on what region you're looking at globally, to United States or what have you. So this, and that had months and months and months leading up to it. This game has been one of the biggest words of mouth that there's been, and I think that there's a chance that Microsoft does this for more of the smaller scale games. Like I was talking with some other people. I think like they could do it with like Project Mara, because that's not something that it's a smaller scale game from Ninja Theory. They could do it. Double Fine, I have a feeling, is going to launch these style games. Just that's what they're going to do. I have a feeling that Double Fine is going to be the experimental, we make weird nonsense that you all can't get enough of studio. And like the the Coalition has a small game like that could be. I don't see any large AAA.
That makes sense. Yeah, that one makes sense.
I do think that they may try to do a similar strategy with AAAs, where like they announce it and release it a month later, where they can get enough marketing and have enough time to actually sell physical copies and things like that, and do a like blitz style, like teamed up with like a large reviewer. They announce it at like their own little show, then like IGN has like a week of coverage, and then like then the reviews drop, and then like a week later the game drops. Like I could see a like very tight window launch for large games like Starfield and stuff like that. I don't see them doing it with a AAA game. That being said, it would break the internet if they did. So they may try it with something down the line. I don't think Game Pass is at the numbers yet where they can completely ignore people having to like save to buy the game. And especially, I still think they have a little bit too much saturation in the physical market, even at the 15 to 10% that they have of sales. I still think it's a bit too much to do a shadow drop of a large AAA game, but I could see it with like the small style games. If there was a studio to want to try to do it with a AAA game, it would be In Exile, because those guys are freaking meme lords. Like they'd be like, hell yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't even catch the ESO stuff because I was too blown away with what was happening with High on Life. I apologize, Centurion. I did see that they're doing a trial for all of the expansions, right?
Yep. Not all. The current one, which is High Tides, is the one that you got to still buy into.
Okay.
But to put it into perspective, if you already own the game, each one of those expansions was $40.
Yeah.
So we're talking a couple $100 worth of expansions that you're allowed to just like fuck around with.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've always thought that they probably should have like, maybe not like if it's older than like 3 years, it probably should just be in Game Pass at this point if they truly want to push ESO.
Actually, there is a caveat to that.
Yeah.
In ESO, because they did mention that there is no subscription needed to play the game, but there is a subscription in the game. It's called ESO Plus.
Yep.
If you have ESO Plus, the game unlocks in its entirety. So
as long as you get all the expansions and stuff too.
And
that's cool.
Access to the dungeons, everything. And a lot of people are like $15. Like that $15 also gives you what's known as the craft bag. And basically, there's a lot of crafting in that game and resources.
Yeah.
You could go insane trying to constantly juggle your inventory. By having the craft bag, all your crafting resources go into this bag, and it's like literally this infinite supply of resources that just keeps going into this bag. It's that $15 is pretty handy, and also they give you like 1,750 crowns a month, which is actually $15 equivalent in their currency.
Kind of cool. Like, I understand not including that subscription with Game Pass because, like, I mean, it is $15. Just Game Pass being $15. It'd be kind of cool if like they had a discounted price for Game Pass people for that. You know what I mean? Like, if you got Game Pass, it goes to $10 a month.
Right. Yeah.
That would be cool. Because like all of that's really experimental. Because like ESO is really the only MMO that Microsoft has right now. I mean, eventually they may get WoW, but like. So like experimenting with how an MMO should conjoin with Game Pass is a very interesting like conversation. And then I thought the Redfall stuff looked great. Now I was also like a lot of people online were like I didn't think it looked too good in the actual like stream, but when I watched the actual gameplay after the stream, it looked way better. I will say they definitely needed to have someone else. How the pilot played the game. And this is true for most FPSs. The people piloting the like gameplay demos aren't making it interesting, and that's not a Redfall problem. That is an FPS problem. I don't know that I've ever seen a gameplay demo of like an FPS where they're actually playing it in first person that's exciting. Bungie gets around that by showing off all of their gameplay reveals in third person, and it's not accurate to how it's being like actually played. But it doesn't look like a robot is playing the game, and you can there's faults to that because I mean you're not actually really showing real gameplay, but that was like the problem that I had with the Redfall demo. The game itself looks great, gonna be there day one, probably buying that. Did you guys see that they're doing the premium edition upgrade for Game Pass?
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, this one doesn't have early access though, like Forza's did. This is just upgrade to the digital deluxe. Correct?
Think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'll be doing that almost certainly. Gonna wait to see if there's a one of them. What are the things called? The punch cards, the rewards punch cards. But yeah, no, I thought the showcase was really good. I give it an A-. It would have been an A+ if Forza had been dated. Would have been S+ if they had given the date of the Starfield show. Like, ended the show and, like, come back and join us for the next show, in March or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Now, I have to ask, though, and interject, because, again, Forza was the only one without a release date. Where do you think we'll see that one line up?
It's a good question. It's a really good question. If it hits in their original commitment, which because of I'm willing to give them a pass on one commitment because of the Hi-Fi Rush, right? Like if something's got to be push one game, and that's fine. I will personally release the commitments because you replaced it essentially, right? With something that's in my tastes versus Forza infinitely better, but I think if it launches in Q2, it'll be in June. I think it'll probably launch in August or July.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at their traditional release dates for your standard Forza Motorsport, they usually line up at around like September. I mean, okay, I know like they can go to like November, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing hit at like August, September, something like that.
Yeah, someone in chat is saying they always launch Forza later in the year. Why would this year be different? Well, because they said it was going to be spring 2023 in June of last year. Like they said when it was going to be. They gave a window. That's why people are expecting it. Right?
He tweeted it out with the whole schedule of when to expect each game, and they said June of this year, 2023, Forza.
Did that?
So, and no one corrected him. He never deleted the tweet, so no one from PR.
Oh yeah, I think he said that because it was promised for 2023, and they didn't say they didn't move it. I don't think Jeff actually knows anything in that regard. I think he's just basically going off of, well, they didn't say it wasn't coming in the first half, so I'm putting by June. I think that was his rationale there. But yeah, people are expecting Forza in spring or early summer of this year because that's what they told us last year. They set, like, Xbox set those expectations. Like, it's not like people going, oh, like, it should be launching here. No, they told us. Like, that's what they told us. In fact, that's what they told us with all of the games. That's why people have been so wanting to see them, because they told us that these list of games would be launching in the first quarter. And like, even then, it looked dense back then, but that's what they told us. So that was the expectations that were set. And that's why I've been going on about the expectation stuff, because people are now are now disappointed it might not be launching in the first 2 quarters. And why are they disappointed? Well, they were told that that's when they'd be launching. And I'm personally not. Forza's not my bag. So if one of the games had to move, like Forza, I don't even think I'd be, even without Hi-Fi Rush, I don't know that I'd be weeping personally if Forza got moved. I know other people will. I'm pretty sure GeneralMLD, you're a big Forza guy, right?
I'm a Forza Horizon guy.
You're a Forza Horizon guy, okay? Because I will download and play Forza Horizon because it's like kind of arcadey. It's, it looks very good. It looks very, 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 very visually very good. But it plays more arcadey. Like the whole thing is like go off the stunt ramps or like do the drifting courses or things like that. It's not the same as like the track circuits. And I can even get into that. But Forza Motorsport, if there was one game that had to move, that would be the game where I'd be like, sure, whatever, move it. I
think the key is that none of them get pushed to next year. So if
the key is none of them get pushed
all 4
to
of these
year.
Like first party big games coming out, well, not big games, but you had Hi-Fi and the other 3, if they all hit, that's a good year.
I would say I would be a little disappointed if Starfield moved the whole way to November, right? Like if it moved a full year from when it was originally committed to coming out. I could live with it going as far as like August and give them a pass. If it goes any further than that, I'm a little disappointed personally, because that's just a cluster of bad expectation settings. Because like as recently as January 4th, I think it was, they had that thing go live that said it's still expected in the first 2 months on the Bethesda support page, And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here. This show is great, and I'm in a very, very, very good mood about Xbox, right? I didn't even want to talk about the expectation stuff, really. But I really do hope we hear news about the Starfield showcase, and I really hope they keep the momentum moving, because right now they got a lot of momentum. You know what I mean? And even if they announce the showcase, and the showcase isn't until the end of February, just announce it now and get people excited, right? Get people hyped up, because people are hyped right now. Keep that momentum going. Because I went into that show lukewarm and I came out of it going, yeah, trying to figure out how to download Hi-Fi Rush as soon as I could. I started playing it that night.
Yeah,
so good.
It was funny too, because I hadn't seen it live. I was watching the recap because I was just leaving work when it was going, and then I see my phone lighting up with our little chat on Twitter and whatnot. It's like there's all this positive chat, like, oh man, I really gotta watch this. And yeah, I gotta say I really enjoyed it. It was I definitely like the style of the developer direct too, right? Because you got a little bit of personality from the developers putting it in, explaining their game, but you also got to see a lot of gameplay, and it was under an hour. So
yep. I said the way I describe it is it's a non-sterile state of play, because state of plays feel very sterile because they usually have the same announcer the whole time, and it's very nondescript. Not quite as bad as a Nintendo Direct where it's the super unenthused announcer the whole time.
Yeah.
The Nintendo Direct announcer that they have for all of them. This felt like that kind of, especially the state of play type show, but the developers were the ones talking about their game instead of some soulless MC, right? And that was so good. It's a world of difference when you see how enthusiastic the developers are about what they created, especially Shinji Mikami. That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how he started off with like, yeah, we made this game seriously though. Like, it's really different, but trust us, it's good, right? Um, it was just it was so heartwarming and like nice to see the developers get to talk about their games and show stuff off and be all about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with you, and I definitely loved the energy from it, and I hope they stick with that format going forward for these types of things, because I think they have something there. I really do. Moving on down the list here, again, I wanna hear everybody. I want to hear in-depth details. Eric Shockley, buddy, I'll hit you up next. What are your thoughts on the developer direct? Did you like it? Could there have been anything improved? Like, hey, give me your thoughts, man.
Yeah, going in, I was definitely only really interested in like two of the things. I love Elder Scrolls, but I just never have attempted to try. I don't think really have the time to get into an online RPG like ESO and Minecraft. I've never really touched that or Legends. But yeah, I was definitely hyped for Forza. That looked great, especially when you watch the 4K stream back. Looks awesome. I know some people were trying to like say, "Oh, well, this is just PC." I'm like, yeah, because they found that one picture where there's a mouse um, behind a yellow car, but when you go back and watch it, that's the scene where the audio developer and him and another guy are like actually working on the computer, you know, testing and doing the audio like while they're on the job. So that's normal, but you didn't see any of that in the other parts, and I'm sure they've from what they're showing equivalent, and whether or not they show it on PC, if we don't know what footage that was. Usually they're showing stuff that's like equivalent to like, hey, here's the power of the Xbox, or like the Series X, and we're showing you maybe from the PC, recording whatever. But that looked really dope. Definitely hype for them, especially this is like the first time, other than like this very first Forza, they've ever had the chance to like develop a Forza Motorsport for more than 2 years. So it's definitely going to be awesome to see what they have up their sleeve. They've always been maybe like a step down in just like the car model quality. So it'll be as compared to like Gran Turismo, just in that aspect. Obviously, they actually have like actual damage physics and actual like wear and tear physics some of that you don't get in Gran Turismo. That might affect your race. There's stuff like that in like some of the higher end games like Dirt Rally and stuff like that. So I'm definitely hyped for when that's going to drop, and those devs always hit it out of the park generally, other than like maybe Forza Motorsport 5 that had to be pushed out at launch. But skipping that, Redfall I think looked pretty good. I knew that type of art style, like whether it was Deathloop or what's the other one from Tango, the one in Ghostwire Tokyo. That should be dropping out. Another Tango game
That should be in
probably
March.
dropping out soon. Yeah. But those games don't lend them, like the lighting effects are going to look cool, but like the art style of what they're going, since they're not going for like realistic models that can kind of, at least even if it's compressed, can kind of come through a little bit better through like Twitter video. Whereas I knew in this, I was like, I'm looking at the glimpse of like, oh, okay, what's the date? I'll check the stream later. And then when you actually watch it in 4K, it looks pretty good for like, if you know what that art style is, on brand with a Deathloop and then the lighting effects are really cool. And remember, you can play up to 4 people, or at least up to 4, all doing different lighting effects all at the same time. And I'm hopeful they'll be all doing 60 frames per second while everybody is doing all different lighting effects. And you have 4 players. So in a game like, The Last of Us or whatever, that has like more realistic art style and it looks like so real, so it's, it gives more pluses. Well, you also have like 4 different controlled, characters where they can disrupt, and you have to keep, performance up while they're lighting off all these crazy lighting effects or spells. And so, I mean, there's going to be a lot of demanding things in it. So visually, like, it's not going to look like photorealistic, but like that art style is not, it's just like Hi-Fi Rush, where it's like, it's a cartoon. Sure, it's not pushing the boundaries of the next gen consoles, but it looks awesome and it plays great. But that was another awesome addition. It was cool to see that they still know that people still want some of those surprises. So if they can at least, I know some of these where it's like setting expectations, but at least that's cool that they did have that surprise for Hi-Fi Rush. It's pretty cool. I think some of the people that early on were playing it that were kind of like down on the combat, once they played it, I saw them kind of come back and say, "Oh, I was wrong about, that play." If you think of it just kind of like a fighting game, because you can memorize some of the combos, you can look at a combo list, and then if you're used to playing like fighting games and memorizing those combos, like it's not that hard, and there's so many things that are like hoping you keep on beat. Like every aspect of the environment is basically like cues for like keeping you on beat.
Yeah, there's even a mode where you don't even have to remember the combos if you don't want to. Like there's a thing you can switch on, and all you have to do is hit the attack button on the beat, and it will randomly do combos that you have unlocked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. But
yeah.
But yeah, hopefully this is great things for us. More things to come. Obviously, like I mentioned, you'll have Ghostwire Tokyo to add to this. So hopefully, like Crusader was saying, they can keep the momentum going. But yeah, I think we were kind of wanting this year, well, last year really, to be a turning point after like Halo dropped, and then you're like, cool, we're gonna have Redfall and Starfield, drop last year. But hopefully that is what is happening this year. And I think doing that shadow drop surprised people, because if they had just announced it and like, hey, it's maybe coming off in a few months, but that really kind of sparked, and especially at shadow dropping and people seeing how good it was, because people were like, oh, okay, this is probably going to be some like mid 70 rated title, but everybody's playing it. I haven't seen, I think the lowest score I've even seen on a review is like at 80.
Yeah, and it's
so
not even a real
everybody's
80,
loving
it's a 4 out of 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but yeah, I played that a little bit. I definitely need to just get I'm getting the hang of like the timing and waiting the rest beats to pull off some of those combos. So it's definitely fun to just like kind of like a fighting game where you spend a little bit more time and then you get better, and then you get you feel more rewarded. So definitely be patient with it. After that first tutorial, it starts to get a lot more fun to play. So because then you start naming all the different combos, and it looks sick when you're doing like the boss modes or get to the boss.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. No, I agree. I mean, lots of good stuff there. Eric. Moving on down the list, GeneralMLD pal. I would love to have you chime in here. What are your thoughts about the whole Xbox and Bethesda Developer Direct? So far, everybody seems to like it. How about you?
Oh, I had a great time watching that thing. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a great change of pace from last year. They start off the year pretty strong, in my opinion. We wanted gameplay. We wanted release dates. We got them for the most part. Forza aside, and we'll get into that later. But the more I see Redfall, the more I really want to play it. Since the Bethesda acquisition, I've played all of Arcane's games. These guys, they just don't miss. Like they never make a bad game, and I'm liking the graphics. Like anyone who's like downplaying the graphics, like yeah, watch this like 4K on YouTube. Like it's much better than what was on the stream. It's better looking than what people give it credit for. But in the end, it's not what that's really about. It's about the gameplay. I myself will pick the sniper build. Like I like how each character has a different set of abilities that can tackle a certain situation their own way. So, and the world is the most open world that they've ever done. But see, as someone who's played Far Cry, where the worlds are so big they can feel bloated and empty, this game is more cozy in a sense, because it's all on foot. So there's essentially always something of interest, because you're never really going far before you come across something, because there's no like open stretches of land. There's no cars, that you need, because it's all on foot. So I'm looking forward to an open world game that I actually want to explore, that I won't feel like it's empty. So I think they're going to nail that. And especially just, yeah, all the abilities and all that arcane magic that they're going to do. Elder Scrolls Online, that's not my thing, but I'm happy that the game is still gaining support. Clearly the game is doing something right. They have a very loyal community and they're just making it grow. Forza Motorsport, I'm a Horizon guy, but this might be the first time I really truly give a Forza Motorsport game its due. Like, these guys are really talking up the specs, like the effort they're putting into it, like the 8 contact points. Like, they're really like touting the sim aspect and how they're really taking it seriously, because Forza Motorsport games typically had a 3 year dev cycle. This one's at least 5. So they're really taking it seriously, and I think it's going to show. Like, even Turn 10's worst game, like Forza 5, even that game wasn't that bad. So I think this game's going to blow everyone away, just like Forza Horizon 5 did in its own right. Let's see, Minecraft Legends, that looks like a lot of fun. Might not be for me specifically. I mean, I had a great time playing Minecraft Dungeons back in the day, so I might just give it a try when it comes out and see how it does. But I think it's gonna, it's gonna have its audience. It's gonna be pretty successful. So that looked pretty good for what it does. But I think, of course, the big thing was Hi-Fi Rush, because I think the biggest criticism for the show was a lack of Forza release date. Personally, I think that'll be maybe in the summer, like maybe latest September. But I think the shadow drop more than compensated for that. Like, we heard rumors, but people didn't actually believe it because they kept saying expectations. Like, hey, this is the Xbox Direct. These are the only 4 games we're going to show. That's it. So we're like, okay, so that's it. But then they actually exceed the expectations, which was a pretty nice twist. Now, I played the game about 3.5 hours deep. Beat the first couple bosses. And it's just a plain fun game. And it doesn't let up. Like, I'm just enjoying myself the entire time. It's a rhythm game, and I'm not really, in the beginning, you're not really the best at the rhythm-based kind of stuff here. Mm-hmm. So, but the game, it kind of helps you along. It gives you kind of tips. There's some accessibility options, but in the end, I'm doing some pretty decent-looking combos here. I'm clearing these enemy encounters, and I'm just having a blast doing it. The art style looks like Jet Set Radio and Sunset Overdrive. So it looks like, like old school kind of Xbox. So a little nostalgic, even though it doesn't really play like them. It looks like them, and that doesn't evoke some feelings in itself. It's so weird because it's from Tango. I played Evil Within 1 and 2. I'm gonna play Ghostwire Tokyo, and this game just comes out of left field, and it's really, really good. Like, its Metacritic is 88 right now, as more reviews come in. So, and I'm really just surprised they managed to keep this game under wraps for so long. It was recent, the leaks, but up until then, this game was in development for at least a few years. So, like, congrats on them for doing this. I think Bethesda's really gonna shine this year. It's gonna show the Xbox they made a pretty good call picking them up. How Bethesda is a pretty good fit, and gives Xbox the variety that that people want. Like, we're no longer the Halo Forza Gears brand. Like, we got games like Hi-Fi Rush, and we're gonna get more unique games as the generation goes on. So this is just the first step. And I said before, it's just we're starting off 2023 with a bang. We're leaving 2022 in the past. It's just really optimistic right now, especially with GoldenEye as well. We're going to get Age of Empires 2 in the next couple days. So, off the bat, we're getting 3 first-party games in the first month. They're not the biggest releases, but it's still 3 first-party games, which is a nice change of pace. And we got some pretty solid dates leading up to E3, which they also confirmed they're going to do. We're going to get the Starfield specific show and whatever. Hopefully we get a release date from that. Like, it's just an exciting time now to be an Xbox gamer. and you can really tell online. People are just getting pumped up, and it's hard. It's hard not to get contagious with that feeling. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being the game hi-fi and seeing what Xbox has. So far so good.
Yeah, and hey, just to tack onto that MLD, we got like so much in store for us too. I mean, you had mentioned Age of Empires 2 for console. I'm looking forward to that too, as I know Crusaders buddy Dots is. I'd love to get his opinion on that. But also, you know, going into Game Pass, we got some pretty big games. Obviously, Atomic Heart is one in late February. In March, I believe Wo Long is going to be in Game Pass too. And then Ghostwire Tokyo is gonna drop, so we're gonna be in a playing games nonstop. I like things are really kicking off strong for Xbox. Again, you got a game coming out of nowhere, Hi-Fi Rush. People are calling it a Game of the Year contender already. Again, I gotta play through.
I'm people.
No, I mean I gotta play through more of it, but I so far I am enjoying it. I really am. But I mean, yeah, you would go that far, Crusader?
Yeah, I would. I mean, it knocked out Plague Tale Requiem out of my top 5, which was my game of the year last year. So that should tell you something about how much I really liked it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like if Stray got nominated, this has a chance, you know?
It's honestly going to come down to how absolutely fire is this year in gaming. Because, like, I mean, we have the first Bethesda RPG since 2014 coming out. We have the Zelda game, was it Tears of a Kingdom?
Yeah.
That people are gonna love that. That's gonna do numbers. You know what I mean? Like, there's potentially 2 Final Fantasy games coming out. I don't think 7 Reunion will actually hit before the Game Awards. But like, there's a lot coming out this year, so I think it's definitely a candidate. You're gonna see it on at least some people's lists from like reviewers, like where the IGN will do their top 10 and stuff like that. I just don't know if it'll. I don't. It's gonna come down to what are the other games like this year for the actual Game Awards. But I personally would nominate it.
All right. That's cool. No, I've seen a lot of chatter about that. It's been the talk of the internet recently. So yeah, been seeing a lot of the Game of the Year candidates thrown around. Going on to Centurion Pal. I mean, I would love to know your thoughts. You see, this direct I felt like had a little bit for everybody. There was a little bit of, again, you had some Redfall. You had a surprise game drop with Hi-Fi Rush. There was a few other titles, obviously Forza, and even Elder Scrolls. You got some new stuff there. Like overall, buddy, what did you think of the show?
I enjoyed it. That's where if I could at least just start off with saying that I'm glad to hear that everybody's excited and they're all talking about the show. Everybody's enjoying Hi-Fi Rush. I haven't played it. You want me to be absolutely honest? We all know that, and this isn't towards anybody. This is just me speaking about myself. And I'm sorry if anybody feels like I don't hinge my gaming on exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
I will eventually play Hi-Fi Rush to find out if that style of gaming is for me. I've never played something that is, excuse me. I have never played anything that's been rhythmically based where you play the game and there's also the mechanic of keeping up with the music in the background during the combat. I want to try it out, but that's where I'm going to keep an open mind. I remember jumping into Marvel Midnight Suns. Am I going to enjoy a game that has like deck-based strategy and, it's not based on my skill as a gamer. It's based on the cards that are dealt out to me. And I put in over 100 hours into Marvel Midnight Sun. I totally enjoyed my experience. For all I know, Hi-Fi Rush could totally blow my mind and I have an absolutely great experience, but I've got other games I'm working on now. I do need to play it, but that's where I don't become hyper focused on Xbox and the exclusives that they offer me. That's why with this show, I didn't go in feeling disappointment for the video game awards. I didn't go into it with, the whole concept of Xbox owes me this, Xbox owes me that. And I just went into this show excited to just see what Xbox is gonna do, especially with ESO. I've been so I liked how you said that you felt that this show had been influenced a lot by Bethesda. Yes, this is a developer direct. This is something I have been watching. I've said it on this show last week. I've said it on other shows. I have been watching a Bethesda developer direct around ESO at the end of January for years now. And it's great to see that Microsoft can take influence and leadership from other places rather than some of the other decision makers that are in the company. They listen to what Pete Hines and the guys over at Bethesda and ZeniMax said, hey, this is a style of a show that we normally do. Try it on for size. And I've heard a lot of people really loving it. I mean, I've had a lot of people just totally express their opinions about not enjoying how they have these Twitch streamers, and it just feels just like you can go to the bathroom and come back and the same boring person is just droning on. And like, no offense to the hardworking people over on Twitch and the streamers, but you're not the people that should be delivering games. The developers, the people who are pouring 8, 10, 12, 15 hours a day into crafting these experiences for us. Those are the people that I enjoy listening to. Like the gentleman who went on about Elder Scrolls Online with Pete Hines. I have been watching him, like I said, once a year for years doing this show. And he has always spoke about what Elder Scrolls Online is going to give me, the player. But that's where, you know, with these shows, you see things you want and you see things you don't hear what you want to want. Like with Forza, everybody is, I know it sucks that we're not getting the release date, but you know, this is just one of those things where you can't always, you know, have your cake and eat it too. That's why I was really great. It's really great that we got Hi-Fi Rush, but when it comes to like Elder Scrolls, me not getting my cake and, you know, eating it too, I'm glad that they touched that there is actually some technical mechanical issues with the game. There really is. I mean, literally on Elder Scrolls Online, there is a bug that happens every once in a while where your weapon gets sheathed and will not come back out. And when you're in the middle of a battle and that shit happens, it aggravates the piss out of you. And it's just one of those things where you have to like get away from the action and you got to do like a certain, you got to do certain things with your controller to get the bug to unlock and for you to unsheath your weapon again. But another thing that I really wish that they would have touched on in the Elder Scrolls Direct is crossplay. I know a lot of people right now that have poured a lot of time into Elder Scrolls Online on a different platform, whether it was PC or PlayStation, and they have been wanting to join me and my friends over on Xbox. But currently, the only way that they could do that is if they delete their character and start over from scratch playing on Xbox. It would be nice if they had something to actually do crossplay, to like what Destiny has done, where you can merge your character from one platform to another. That's just some things that I wish ZeniMax would have touched on, but they didn't. But it is good to know that they're acknowledging that they see the technical problems of the game and they're wanting to fix them. They're also wanting to bring in a lot more people into the fold by giving them a large amount of content to play. I mean, on Wilmy's show, Gaming Beyond the Box, just before this, I said you could probably pick up and 100% either Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Assassin's Creed Valhalla before you could consume all the content that right now is actually being free for Elder Scrolls Online. There is, each one of those expansions is probably 30 to 50 hours of gameplay, not to mention the asinine amount of hours that you would have to put into the main campaign and all the alliance campaigns that are in the base game. And so with this show, I definitely became excited for the fact that that I am hoping now that Elder Scrolls Online is going to be on a lot of people's radar, and we're going to see a major influx of players on Elder Scrolls Online. And when ZeniMax said that this is actually one of the most positive and inclusive communities in gaming, he wasn't joking about that. We are, in the way it works on Elder Scrolls Online, is we literally, I could go on right now and stand outside the entrance to a dungeon and go into the chat and say, hey, I need help with this dungeon, please help me. And generally you'll get some responses, or people will just start showing up outside the dungeon to actually give you a hand. You get brought into guilds. I have met awesome people playing through some of these guilds. And like, it's a very inclusive game. You don't got to feel like it's this huge undertaking, other than, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you would like. The game is a very big sandbox. But for anybody here on the show, anybody listening, if you ever want to play Elder Scrolls Online, know anything about it, DM me on Twitter, Xbox, or just find me on the game. We can hang out. I could show you the ropes kind of thing. I have friends that I play with. I saw the blue one in the chat earlier saying that he just got in on Elder Scrolls Online. Blue started playing with me and my friends about last year sometime. And I mean, there's been some times where we literally will play for like 6-8 hours, just dungeon running and just doing just random crap in the game, exploring. For me, overall, this was a great show. It's a great time to see the future of Xbox. And yeah, I know everybody wants more out of Xbox, but that's where, at least for me, my experiences in life, I can't ever feel that anybody owes me anything. And I'm not trying to say that I'm a sucker and that I enjoy everything that's handed to me, but I am grateful for the hard work of all the developers of these games and the people that design the hardware. And my love for Xbox is not about the games, it's about the community and the device that they have designed for me to experience the Xbox ecosystem. And for me, games are just the frosting on that cake.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I mean, obviously a game like Elder Scrolls, I mean, that's a big time community game, right? I mean, it's something that requires a lot of players to be active in, so no, I hear you. And it looks like too, like I just read in the chat that it looks like they're getting a bump in players too recently, so that's a great thing. And it's good to see more content being pushed out for
right. And I said this earlier, and I know, Crusader, you're the Destiny fan. So like when I said this on Gaming Beyond the Box, that if we were to pit Destiny against Elder Scrolls Online, when we're talking about games as a service, when it comes to game mechanics, Destiny has an awesome shooter mechanic. They have some really good game loops. So when we're talking on a mechanical basis, Destiny really has that shit on lock. When it comes to storytelling, they don't hold a flame to the lore masters over at ZeniMax that have done Elder Scrolls, the franchise, and Elder Scrolls Online. And we're talking consecutive stories year after year that blend in with each other, and they don't feel like they're broken up, convoluted, or you can't understand what's going on. Where with Destiny over the years, sometimes I feel like there's been a lot of holes in the plot. And the other problem, that's where I got very aggravated with Destiny over the concept of sunsetting content, because literally they're like, oh, well, we can't keep the game up because it's getting too big. I can go and play the original campaign for Elder Scrolls right now and go through all that content, and not one piece of it has been sunsetted. Elder Scrolls Online takes their storytelling really freaking serious, and I really feel that very few games can actually hold a candle to the stories that have been crafted in that game and how they flow together.
All right, that's a fair comment. Guys, any other like talking points from the developer direct? Anything to add before we move on? Because again, I overall I thought it was pretty good. I don't know how I'd grade it, but I went in with zero expectations. I mean, we had all kind of heard things, but I liked it. I really liked it, and I hope that they continue on with this. You know, we got some release dates. There's still some things kind of lingering. That's true. Plus, we don't know about Starfield as of yet. We're supposed to be getting some kind of, I don't know, direct, a show, something to showcase Starfield even further. So, hey, we don't have long to wait for that. But people are wondering about a release date. And guys, all I gotta say is, you know, sit tight. We'll get it. I've heard every month basically Starfield could come, so we'll see. Like, honestly, it's your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. But it'll come when it's ready. It'll come when it's ready. We'll see. But either way, you know that they're going to be pushing out a lot of marketing for it once we get that release date. And who knows? We got the Super Bowl around the corner. Maybe we'll hear something in 2 weeks right before, whenever this show happens too, kind of a synchronicity to it. But okay, why don't we move on to some other things? But you know what, before that, guys, share out the show, thumb it up. Again, I want more people here. I want to see more people in the chat, and there is a great chat going on. I love it when you guys are having the back and forth going on there. Really civil. I love it. You guys are great. But yeah, guys, remember to thumb the show. I think we're having a really awesome chat here. And sub if you're new. I love having the new faces around. But yeah, guys, on that note, we got another surprise this week. We kind of touched on it earlier. And a very welcome one at that. Goldeneye 007 has been released for Xbox and Nintendo Switch. On Xbox, it's a bit interesting because, again, you can get it through Rare Replay and Game Pass, but I don't think there's a direct purchase option, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct, there is not.
Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate there, but still, I mean, there are ways to play it. I'm curious if anyone on the panel has been playing it and just their overall thoughts. I know there are a couple here, including myself. GeneralMLD, but I understand you've spent a little bit of time with it. How does this classic game hold up to today's standards, and how have you been enjoying it?
Okay, well, to start, I think I have a pretty unique perspective because I was an N64 guy. But I only played this game with, like, you're over a friend's house, multiplayer game sessions. So I did a lot of that. But I personally myself never played the game because, again, I have my friends, who just always, invited me over for some sessions there. So I'm playing the campaign for the very first time. So I don't have any nostalgia goggles blinding my vision here. So that said, I only had time to play the first level. And, like, okay. You could definitely see it the game's age. It's the dam level is there's an actual dam, it's pretty linear, but you could tell it's from the N64. But the Xbox controller, it's so much better suited to play this game compared to the N64 controller. And unlike the 90s, I have a 75-inch HD TV.
Yeah.
If this was the Switch version, it would look terrible on my TV. But the fact that it's 4K, I'm not sure about the frames per second, but from what I've been playing, it's pretty smooth so far. So I think either version has its perks. Like again, I'm sticking with the Xbox version for now. Like the 4K, it looks pretty nice. The gameplay, while dated, I gotta say, I'm having a great time. And actually played a little bit of multiplayer with the misses here. Like, just racking up some kills and some multiplayer achievements. The multiplayer is smooth, and it's still pretty fun. Like, I think Xbox, it's not so bad that this game isn't online, because I feel Xbox needs more couch co-op kind of multiplayer kind of games. And this game fits the bill. Like, people were upset that Halo Infinite didn't have co-op, right? Well, I mean, this obviously is nothing comparable, but I mean, in the sense that if you want to have your friend over and you guys want to play something together next to each other, this game is a pretty good alternative, I gotta say. So, it's a nice surprise. I think we had 2 days notice that it was gonna drop. We didn't know when it was gonna come because people said last year it was gonna come soon, but months went by and soon turned into not soon. So this was a really nice touch that they finally just managed to drop this thing out. Now, I mean, the Switch version, of course, I think is the emulation of it, of the straight N64 port, but obviously it has online. So either version has its own perks, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm actually glad that Xbox finally got Nintendo to, I'm glad they did what they did. So this game, it just exists in the first place. They brought, they made it new again, essentially. They brought it back into the spotlight for both Nintendo and Xbox gamers. I don't really care much about the whole availability ownership aspect. I mean, I have Game Pass. I'm just playing it via there, and otherwise, I really would recommend Rare Replay for anybody. Just a lot of good games for a really good price, and you get this game GoldenEye included with that too. So I think the barriers of accessibility are still pretty low to play this game, but I'm having a great time. I'm having fun because I did play the multiplayer, and that nostalgia trip is going full swing right now. And it's just a nice compliment. You get something new and interesting with Hi-Fi Rush, and they kind of 1-2 punch us with a nostalgia trip at the same time. So there's really something for everybody right now. And for anybody who hasn't played GoldenEye or simply wasn't alive when this game first came out, I would give it a try. It's an old school classic that, frankly, helped shape console first-person shooters before Halo 1 came along. So, yeah, I recommend it. At least a try. And again, definitely see if you can invite some people over, have just a good old-fashioned couch multiplayer session. So, yeah, that's me.
I mean, I've been playing it too. I'm about halfway through it. I've been doing a bunch of like speed run achievement guides because a bunch of the levels have, depending on what difficulty you have it on, there's to unlock like paintball mode, big head mode, that kind of a thing. And yeah, so I've been doing quite a few of those. It's been a lot of fun actually reliving the game, because that was something that me and my friends, like, again, we were having this conversation yesterday, MLD, because we were both big N64 guys, as were my friends growing up. And GoldenEye was just one of those games that was our jam. We would do the local multiplayer and, get ticked off if somebody was screen peeking, and yeah, it was just like just one of those things. The playing multiplayer on like the bunker or the Aztec level. It just it really brings back the memories. That being said, is it optimized the best that it could be? Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've seen like some screen tearing on my end. Like, there's been some blips. Yeah.
I would say so, but I don't know. I mean, I think the trade-off is I think the pros outweigh the cons. I mean, arguably the original N64 game had its. I'm sure it had some graphical hitches here and there too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just happy it's 4K. Like they made this game like decent to look at as far as an N64 game goes anyway on modern TVs. So I'm just happy we got that perk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I do feel like having the online multiplayer would have been a big deal for Xbox too, because again, Xbox, they're always big with online, right? So you would think that it would be more the reverse. Nintendo would focus on the local, Xbox with online, but it's a switcheroo.
Yeah, I think it's definitely just the politics of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it's more that Nintendo has a solution to make N64 games generically through the emulator work in multiplayer, and Microsoft would have to actually do something otherwise, right? Because the way it works is it actually just tricks the game, and like one person's the host and the other people are like streaming the content, and on everyone's screen it is 4-player split screen on the Switch. That's how all N64 emulated games work that are on the Switch through the Nintendo Online.
Oh, okay.
Nintendo Switch Online. Like it's basically a general infrastructure similar to like FPS Boost on Xbox, right? That like there's this infrastructure in place that they can do stuff to the game at a system level. And Nintendo just has that in place at the system level to do that with N64 games, whereas Microsoft would have to like actually create online servers and stuff like that, and it's
Now that sounds okay on paper, but like I've witnessed Mario Kart N64 online. It is atrocious.
Oh yeah, no, it's bad on the Switch too. Like
Oh, yeah,
like the new the way it works for whatchamacallit, Goldeneye is terrible. It's the same thing essentially, right? Like it's not good. It's just why Nintendo has it and Xbox doesn't, right?
Right.
It's because they have this infrastructure in place to do it. It's not good. It is not a good solution, but that is why the solution is there for Nintendo and not for Xbox.
Right. Yeah. Because when people online say like, oh, like they're laughing like, oh, only Xbox, the Xbox doesn't have online multiplayer, only Switch has it. Like, do they know how bad it is for Switch? Like for N64 online multiplayer games? I don't think they do. Like it's not as rosy as they think it is.
Google Poe, where are you saying? Where did I hear this? This is just how N64 games work on the Switch. If you're playing it through the NSO,
Right.
like they have their online. It's not so complex that only Nintendo can do it. Nintendo just has infrastructure in place for their NSO program to make old split-screen multiplayer games have an online multiplayer system. It's not that it's so complicated. It's that they have more N64 games that they do this for, and they just applied the same treatment that they have already developed for this. Whereas Microsoft did not make the N64, right? In order to actually do something, they would have to make something fresh out of the box that would be just for this game. Whereas Nintendo is applying something that they've already developed and applying it here to this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Microsoft going back and applying the Hutchie method to more games as they were added to the Xbox backwards compatibility program for 360 and original Xbox. As more games came, they used the same method they already developed and applied that to more games as they could. It's not that it's so complicated that Nintendo can only do it. Nintendo just created this solution for other games, and GoldenEye is now happening to benefit from it in today's date, whereas they created it years ago for the older games.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't want.
Yeah, I'm saying Microsoft doesn't want to do it. Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying they did not want to invest the money to make online multiplayer for the GoldenEye release. That is exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, I don't want to sound ungrateful because again, I'm really happy just to have a version of GoldenEye on Xbox. You know, like that's a dream come true for a lot of people. It's so simple, but you know what I mean.
And like it's kind of like a pillar, like a beacon of light for like people like me who fight for games for backwards compatibility. Right? I live and die by wanting games to be available. And so like the fact that this is available in any way, shape, or form, no matter what they did with it, is incredible to me. Because like this was like the one of the golden goose's eggs of whatchamacallit, of getting stuff backwards compatible or ported or whatnot, because it's a licensing nightmare. MGM has licensing stuff with it, Nintendo has licensing stuff with it, Microsoft via Rare has licensing stuff with it. It's Activision, Activision has licensing stuff with it. Like it's and so it's great to see this happen for someone like me who drastically wants. If I was more of a fighting man and more of an investor, I'd be pushing Microsoft to seek out more licensing shit for the 360 stuff. If I was a Sony investor, I'd be seeking hardcore pushing for PS3 backwards compatibility stuff. I'd like to see the Rare Replay ported to PC if at all possible. That's probably a licensing nightmare that's not going to happen. But I'd love to see it, right? The Dead Space remake, which the funniest thing I've ever heard of it called was the Dead Space refurbishing, because it's halfway between a remaster and a remake, and it's incredible. Like it was the one horror film guy who loves Dead Space. I can't think of his name. He keeps going on every couple of years. He says he wants to make a Dead Space movie. Famous horror director, can't think of his name. He said he tweeted and was like the refurbished Dead Space from EA is absolutely incredible, and I'm like, well, that's hilarious. But like that Dead Space remake, I love it, right? Because it's bringing Dead Space to new generation of people
Oh, that was
who
John
haven't been able to play it.
Carpenter, isn't it?
John Carpenter, that's it. Thank you. He had a hilarious tweet where he said that the refurbished Dead Space. Something, man, that's actually not a horrible way to say it, because it's not like a remake in like the Resident Evil 4 sense. But it's not also not a remake in the Demon Souls sense. It's like halfway in between the two, and I found that to be hilarious. But yeah, so like seeing because like I'm not gonna play this particular game. I don't care. It's not my jam. But I am so happy, on principle, that it got ported, because it means anything's possible, right? It means anything could happen if the right people push for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and again, I've my best friend. We've been shooting back messages. I shot him a message that, oh hey, there's an announcement for Goldeneye, and guess what? It's coming in like tomorrow, and he was just like so happy that it was available. So happy. And it just, again, it's a trip down memory lane. I know nostalgia is one heck of a drug, but it's just one of those games that just, it really does make you feel good. It really does. How about you, Centurion? I mean, is this something that you'd want to give a shot? Like, I mean, it is pretty cool that, I mean, I remember they had a release date like a couple of months ago, and they were just like, oh, it's coming soon. And then on the same day as the Bethesda Direct, they're like, oh, guess what, guys? Here's an announcement. Bam. What are your thoughts? I think you'll give it a go?
Nah, I don't want nothing to do with Rare Replay. No, I'm fucking.
How dare you badmouth Rare Replay?
Dude, earlier in the show we were talking
I
like
know.
I have a physical and a digital copy. I'm like, yeah, screw that game.
Oh no, great
No,
collection.
I know, right? It's a really good collection, and it's good to see that. I mean, you get to play a game that kind of put Rare on the map. I mean, we saw Goldeneye, this is one of those first games where as soon as you started playing it, this showed that it was possible to play a first-person shooter on a console, because for the most part, a lot of first-person shooters were kind of confined to the realm of PC because of the input. And then in comes with Nintendo, with the Nintendo 64 and the addition of one of the first joysticks on a controller. And now all of a sudden you have a somewhat acceptable range of motion to actually have proper input for a shooter mechanic. Because I mean, we all remember the Z button underneath the underneath the thumbstick, and how you would hold that awkward ass controller by like one of the three pegs. You'd have to hold it by the center and then hold on to on the outside, and using the yellow C buttons to actually control the camera, while the thumbstick actually controlled the crosshair. And man, a lot of good fun playing that game by itself, inviting friends over, everybody playing on 4-player split screen. That was some of those first times where you had people accusing each other of screen watching, where you were trying to find each other and you had no idea where anybody was at, and you'd glance over on someone else's teeny little square on the screen, and
no peeking.
No peeking. Yeah, oh, you're looking on my screen. Yeah, those iconic words. But that's where we also see franchises like Perfect Dark that were birthed from the concept of Goldeneye, because obviously Rare wanted to keep working on James Bond-esque style games and keep that whole kind of game development alive. But I'm gonna, buying into licensing games, we especially movie licensed games, that's a lot of money. There's also a lot of rules and stipulations, as we see. Look at all the issues it took to get this game just to show up on the Xbox and the Nintendo Switch. So imagine what Rare went through back in the day to work on another James Bond game, and they're like, all right, we're going to throw our hands up in the air and we're just going to create our own game. And therefore we birthed Joanna Dark and Perfect Dark. And the games were pretty much like a 1-to-1 version of each other based on the game mechanics, the multiplayer. I mean, like literally, it was like James Bond female. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be great to go back and play Goldeneye. I haven't tried it out yet. I need to do it. I literally capped off Marvel Midnight Suns to this afternoon. Now I'm gonna, because I try to play like 2 games at once, that way I could flip flop between them. Goldeneye is gonna be that game that I'm gonna just start flip flopping back, have that nostalgia bug real quick, have some fun. I mean, it's like nostalgia January. We got the Dead Space refurbishment, which I kind of agree with, Crusader. And then we've got the basically what we would refer to as the GoldenEye port, because that's pretty much all it is a port. They can't do much with it. But yeah, it's gonna be great to go back and kind of live a little bit of my youth. I mean, crap, I was definitely in the single digits when it came to my age when this game came out. So it's gonna
What
be
year
a
did it
lot.
come out? You know?
Oh
Sorry for
God.
interrupting.
Was it 90?
Metacritic or 97?
No,
Let's put some perspective here. I was 1 year old.
no, just what year it came out, because I want to say,
Okay.
Oh.
If it was
Also,
August 23rd, 1997.
yeah,
I
there we
was
go.
a little over a year old.
So where were you, Crusader? Man, pick
I-
up that controller. I'm playing. Crusader cut his teeth on playing GoldenEye at age 1. Oh man. But yeah, freaking, I mean, this is a great way to experience gaming history. Like it is gaming history. Like it's no joke that people thought it was impossible to play a shooter mechanic on a console, and basically GoldenEye gave it like this concept is possible, and Halo, like literally that love and enjoyment for trying to push the limits of first person shooter mechanics on a home-based console and not a PC, followed year after year to the developers that did Halo, and they perfected the mechanic. That's really what got first person shooters over the finish line of, yes, you can have a PC experience playing a first person shooter with Halo, and that love and passion came from trying to push the limits with GoldenEye. And that also gave other games, like I remember there was like a Mission Impossible game.
Yes.
Like literally everybody was trying to capture the hype that GoldenEye came. And I still remember one of the best things in GoldenEye was that freaking pause screen. One of the best, most freaking like God, I want to say electronic versions of the James Bond theme in the background. And I still remember the noise in my head to this day from that freaking that song playing on the pause screen. So definitely this is going to be a big fun nostalgia bug for me. And also these games are not really yeah, I remember that Mission Impossible game, yes, was nothing like the movie, and yes, it was very I want to say, but it was fun trash, especially being at a young age. I mean, you're just happy to play a game at that age.
I remember it looked good when it came out, but that was about it.
Oh, dude, the freaking cheesy freaking shooting people with your gun, and they're like, oh, and freaking like the most dramatic freaking deaths.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, even GoldenEye, I mean, I appreciate that, like, the animation's really good, and, like, for, you know, it's like they're diving and whatnot, but it's, looking back on it now, it's just so cheesy, but I appreciate it, you know?
Oh, dude, see, that's the other thing, like, that's where, I mean, like, maybe that's where us as older gamers, and I don't even want to call myself an older gamer, I would call myself, like, a mid-age gamer, but for people that experienced gaming in the 90s, I just want to put it out there that I think that's where we are, even earlier games with some like the older gamers. Like I love listening to Mr. Boomstick talk about his time growing up with gaming because he's been there since day one. But that's where sometimes like when we see people making these high demand for games on social media and everybody's wanting to like burn a game down to the ground because of some weird buggy mechanic or something that's just off. I mean, like GoldenEye, how many times have we been going down those corridors and we popped an enemy and literally the body ended up halfway in the wall? It was like those moments that just made us laugh at just the sheer cheesiness of the game mechanic, but we were just happy as hell to be playing this game of James Bond running around in a first-person shooter and just having the time of our lives, or playing the multiplayer and somehow clipping yourself through the wall to shoot at your friend who's on the other side of the wall. Just stupid, quirky stuff like that. And like, that's why it was great to see that this game is finally crossed the finish line, because I mean, wasn't this supposed to be a 360 arcade title?
There was supposed
They were
to
working
be,
on it.
yeah, they were working on it. There was supposed to be like a remake of it, so to speak. But Nintendo kind of, well, the rumor is like Nintendo kind of stepped in and put the kibosh to that, unfortunately.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that and MGM was during the height of they didn't want James Bond portrayed on games anymore.
see, that's what really
Well,
threw
they
me
did a
off, man.
GoldenEye with what was it, Daniel Craig?
Oh,
And it was kind of like a remake,
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Reloaded.
it wasn't. Yeah, basically where they went through some of the similar levels, if I remember correctly.
I think actually, if I'm correct, I think it was mainly Nintendo wanted to be the only home for James Bond, because I remember playing a couple
Weird.
a couple James Bond games on the GameCube.
Mm.
So that's where I'm wondering if like Nintendo really wanted to be like the home of the James Bond franchise. But I would be truthful, like I haven't seen a James Bond game since the GameCube, because I think that they modeled, I think the last game for James Bond was modeled after The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah, they had a whole rule.
I mean, you had them on the
they created
360.
they created these wild rules for like how James Bond can be adapted in games. Like they can't use the likeness of the actor and stuff like that. And it was like MGM's rules. Like James Bond can't die in the game was another one. James,
Yeah,
they are
right.
not allowed to die.
All right.
Yeah,
Because
like
I know MGM has all kinds of crazy rules, and like that's why no one ever thought we were gonna get another James Bond game, which is why it's so exciting that we're getting the one from IO Interactive.
IO, yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like they changed their tune,
Well-
especially since MGM was selling themselves to Amazon.
right? And I couldn't think of a better developer, because they've had a lot of history with the Hitman franchise, which is basically, hey, we don't got James Bond, but there's Hitman.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yep.
but you're not freaking got James Bond over here freaking choking somebody out with a freaking wire. But I mean, that's where it's going to be really fun, right? We're going to have that Hitman-esque style of gaming, but with gadgets and other fun stuff, that because like Hitman, it was all about the weapons and taking somebody out. I'm thinking with the James Bond game, it's going to be more along the lines of completing your mission with the fun gadgets and basically getting the job done. Because James Bond, even though, yes, he did kill people, his main premise was not to basically be that guy that just goes in and just like kills everybody. You know, there was espionage, there was a whole bunch of other tropes to his character. And I'm really hoping that all the excitement that MGM and Amazon, because Amazon owns them now, I'm really hoping that they see all the excitement that the world is getting from this game, the hype that's being created from it, and realize that they are actually not tapping a very good resource for money and to keep the franchise alive. Because, you know, James Bond switches actors a lot, because these actors want more and more money to play him. We've also seen issues with like during the pandemic that, you know, trying to film during that situation was really impossible. So anything can happen with like the movie franchise, but gaming is also another viable avenue of keeping the franchise itself going. And I just hope that they see from all the hype and talk that's taking place here, that they realize that James Bond can also have a home in gaming.
Mm-hmm. Now, Shockley, buddy, I mean, I would love to know your thoughts on GoldenEye, because if I'm not mistaken, you've spent some time with it. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, spent all my youth playing the crap out of it with the old Game Shark. but putting all the cheat codes so you have all the weapons to go through all the levels. And but yeah, I've definitely been getting back into that, trying to do like double O agent, because I never really went through it as a kid. I would always just do agent and just go through and just do whatever I wanted. So actually going through and actually like doing all the checkpoints has been kind of cool. Or doing all the like actual like missions where you have to like put the modem on a certain computer or start downloading a certain frequency on this computer to intercept the signal or something like that. But yeah, I guess I was digging in more of like the differences between the Switch version, the Xbox version. So apparently, only reason really the Switch has like the online component is that they already have that built into the emulator that they're using for like all the other N64 games that they have on that Switch Online expansion pack. So it's basically just using, so like their version of the game doesn't really have it. It just kind of uses this side like net play or whatever that's attached to their emulator that runs all of their N64 ROMs, which that's essentially what Xbox is doing. They're, you know, basically emulating this version and upscaling it. Whether or not I don't know if there's a deal in there where, you know, Xbox can't eventually add it. But even on the Switch, it's not like it's the greatest, because I have the expansion pack and I would love to play multiplayer for a lot of those games like Mario Tennis that has it. But then you also have to find other people that are in your friends group that also pay the extra money for the expansion pack. Which, you know, a lot of people aren't going to do that for Switch because you don't really need to do that for most of their first party games. So a lot of times people aren't spending $50 for their online to get the N64 pack, and you don't have matchmaking for their multiplayer anyway, so it's all just peer-to-peer. So having your friends over playing split screen, I'm about as likely to get that set up as I am Switch Online. So, but yeah, I think we may have touched on it earlier. Yeah, we're probably never going to see that 360 version. I mean, weirder things have happened. Never thought we'd probably have GoldenEye released on both Switch and Xbox. But unless they somehow, that seems like a more far-fetched, like, you know, miracle at this point, like how hard this was. And not only that, they're not even selling it really. They might get added to our subscription model revenue, but they're not actually selling it as a side digitally. So that makes me think like there's even more licensing issues that they can't even, you know, get a basic sell. So they're probably not going to be able to, now, unless that thing does change or alter the artwork, maybe they could, maybe we're not going to get that 360 version. Like, it is fully playable on the 360 emulator, which is really easy to find and download. So you can play through the whole thing, and it's cool. It's kind of like Halo Anniversary, where you just flip the button and it instantly goes from the old to new instantaneously. And when I've played on PC, it runs great. But maybe they won't be able to release that old one and do the whole Switch thing. Maybe they could just release just the remake portion of it, because at least that would be enough to change the artwork. But if they can rework new licenses, I don't know how feasible that's going to be. But kind of sucks that, you know, you can't, you know, we're never going to probably see it, but at least luckily whoever it was like a year or two ago that found it and leaked that whole thing or dropped it on the internet, that's great, because now we actually are, you know, if you have a computer that can run a 360 emulator, it doesn't have to be too powerful, you can run the whole thing and enjoy it. So, but yeah, it's great that it's been added. I think it was just kind of like that one thing that we were missing. Only other thing we're missing from like Rare Replay that'd be cool if they could work out a deal. Since you know, Microsoft's thrown Banjo over to Smash, now that it's an IP for Microsoft, if they could return the favor and let us have Diddy Kong, like we both got GoldenEye, right? So you add Diddy Kong Racing, will allow you to use the Rare game.
I'd actually probably come play.
Dude,
I
that
mean,
you
if
hit,
this
you
is
hit
the
that on
weirder,
damn.
if this happened, why not do that? Because you would get that would entice a lot of people to actually wait. I can play Diddy Kong Racing online on Switch Online.
You know,
For the
don't
people that
even know
actually
what
do have
Diddy
it.
Kong is.
But imagine, and come on, that would be a big boost. Like, hey, if you have Rare Replay digital owners and Game Pass, Diddy Kong Racing. I mean, it'd be dope, and you get achievements. Like, hopefully, this is what can maybe spark that deal. Because otherwise, I don't know why this deal even really happened. Other than maybe both of them were looking at like, hey, I think it was probably happening because Nintendo. I want to say because Nintendo's been looking at adding their back catalog, whereas Microsoft already done and did that with Rare Replay. Or it was probably Microsoft that mentioned it initially when they were trying to see what they could get in Rare Replay, and then there was probably just like a big hard no because they were still in the Wii U age, and then now that Microsoft or Sony or not Sony, Nintendo's coming around with their whole expansion pack, and they want to add more and more games to make more and more value to actually get people to actually spend $50 for their internet service. Maybe that could happen, but otherwise, at least we got this. It's definitely check it out, especially if you've played it any portion like when you were a kid. Maybe go back and like try some of those harder levels to do like Double Agent. I get that it's like dated, but it is still relatively fun for like what it was. So, at least in my opinion. So.
Hey, Shot, real quick, you'd probably get a kick out of this because you'd probably know what Thimber is talking about in the chat. Goldeneye was also one of those games that gave rise to companies like GameShark, who helped do some of the first like console modding to actually do cheat codes and stuff on those games.
Yeah, that was why I bought a GameShark back in the day. Because then
the fact that people probably don't even know what the hell a GameShark is, like literally, it's like for those who don't know, it was a cartridge that you plugged into the 64 and you'd plug the game into it, and basically the cartridge would rewrite stuff. And it was like one of the first evolutions of console modding, something that we see now in Skyrim and Fallout and other Bethesda titles.
Yeah, I have a couple of Game Sharks too that I've had since well, going back in the day. So I think I have one for my Sega Genesis and something else, probably one of my, maybe the SNES, one of them. Also, yeah, Thimber was saying too that Microsoft has recently renewed the trademarks of 2 Rare IPs on the global brand database after user dormancy. I think he said one's Blast Corps and the other Viva Pinata. I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not sure how likely we are to see those like make a comeback of sorts, but those are 2 interesting IPs that I could see them possibly dabble with. It's just a matter of, well, who would work on them, because Rare is kind of doing new stuff like
outsourcing.
No, you're right.
I could see.
Did they just have to renew them to keep them for Rare Replay? Because they are in Rare Replay, so maybe.
I mean,
I could see Viva Pinata, but Blast Corps, I'd be really curious on how that would.
Well, it's a very simple premise.
It's a very simple premise, but what would you do to get people to want to play the premise now?
Well, I mean, it would be a smaller title. I mean, in my opinion, that's what it would be. It would be like a bite-sized title, and again, you would just be wrecking stuff, except you would have like really impressive demoing, right? Like
you'd have some good demoing. I think they could make some really awesome vehicles. And also there was some mechs in the game, especially the mech that could fly around. Yeah. So, I mean, it would definitely, there would be some fun, quirky stuff. It would just be like, what could you do to like, I mean, really help the premise? Because literally the premise was we, for whatever logic, wanted to transport 2 nuclear weapons through a city area. And the only thing we could come up with is we just need to get everything out of its path. I don't care if it's a school, get it out of the way.
No, you're right. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous, but fun game nonetheless. I would say though that Viva Pinata is one of those games that I don't know. Like I always thought that Microsoft and Xbox should go back to, just because you know, the whole collecting little like creatures thing, like it just I don't know, it just seems like something they should have capitalized more on. They had the TV show back in the day. Viva Pinata was successful. I mean, it did have a sequel. People loved it. They just I don't know, just kind of phased out, unfortunately. And I don't know. I think that they could really expand on it to this day. Now, like, who would work on a game like that? I mean, there's all kinds of studios out there. I personally wouldn't be surprised if they were like to get a studio like Playful, because they seem to have liked Playful again. They had partnered with for Super Lucky's Tale, for example. But
I've always said Playful should be the guys that get handed the IP of Banjo-Kazooie to do a Banjo-Kazooie 3. I feel like that would be like the studio to use to create a game like that.
Would that be called like Banjo 3 EEEE or something?
Or just 3E.
3E, yeah.
or Banjo Yuh. Like like honestly, I would love to see just a total remake of the first Banjo, or even just like a twofer, right? Have the just like Banjo collection and just like totally HD, and then take it from there.
With the amount of devs they have now, like they need to definitely get on like a KI sequel. I was playing some of that this past weekend, but definitely, yeah, like some of these IP, like you've brought in Banjo to more players' lives with Smash, so you're getting this like, you know, for that IP, you're getting this buzz for it. So people, if you release now a new Banjo and its quality, like people are gonna be, you know, receptible to it. Like,
and they also have a good working collaboration with Nintendo now, where they would be able, it wouldn't be just locked down to the Xbox ecosystem. They would also be able to take advantage of the Nintendo ecosystem and the nostalgia that Banjo has over there.
Yeah.
I would keep them. I would keep them separate. I think they should definitely. I don't know if there's like this hindsight of like not wanting to touch Conquer because it's like too mature, but you literally have Nintendo's. It's like taking away Kirby or like some of their other IP from Nintendo. You literally have two like highly thought of like as almost Nintendo brand themselves, and you own them. You and Nintendo have them. Sony doesn't really have an equivalent. The closest they could say is like maybe Ratchet and Clank,
or Astrobot,
still,
probably.
Well, keep in mind,
and neither of those are as beloved as like Conquer and Banjo. They just aren't.
Now,
So you literally have
That's fighting
Nintendo
words.
IP that can compete with Nintendo's most beloved IP. So you have it. Like, why
are
are we
you
not?
absolutely sure that Microsoft is allowed to use Banjo-Kazooie free and clear as an exclusive, or is there like some fine print that we're not aware of?
No, they did.
Yeah, nuts and bolts.
They did with Nuts and Bolts, the bad game.
Okay. They made it.
It's fine. Nuts and Bolts is fine. It just wasn't a traditional Banjo-Kazooie. It was Minecraft before Minecraft came along, in my opinion. But
I totally forgot about that. I've played it, but I totally forgot that. Yeah, that was an Xbox
friend
thing.
actually really loves it.
No,
it was an
good.
Xbox 360 exclusive.
I mean, well, it's a very like, imagine trying to play Forza and literally it's like, here's an empty shell of a car. You need to strap some axles on it, put a motor in it, and really hope to God you know what you're doing by designing a vehicle that can go down the road.
Well, and that was the thing, right? Because people just wanted a traditional game, and then Rare's like, oh, well, we have to do something new for it. Oh, let's do this whole like this whole mechanic where we make vehicles, and it's like, well, that's cool, but they went way too far with it, and it just became more of a racing game than a platform game. So
yeah, they should have stuck with platforming, honestly.
Well, they could have had a little bit, right? Just a little bit of the whole vehicle thing, but they really pushed it. So you live and you learn. But hey, I'm a huge Banjo fan. I would love to see a new Banjo come. It's just a matter of, who knows, maybe you could see Double Fine work on it, right? So
that'd be another.
What about the Sumo?
Yeah,
The
that's
guys
possible.
that made that Sackboy Adventure game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. They could do it. I mean, there's all kinds of different developers. I mean, again, looking back, who would have thought that a developer like Double Helix would have made an awesome Killer Instinct game, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be anybody. I will say, though, guys, I mean, if the Activision deal does go through, I mean, they'll also be getting Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and Toys for Bob, right? Like that's a perfect studio. It's just I'll admit I just wish that they had a studio working on these things right now. So it seems like
You'll literally have PlayStation's like Nintendo equivalent beloved IP of people's childhoods and Nintendo's and both Sony's in your pocket.
yeah. Well, that's the funny part about it.
Put it out.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's funny that Shockley brought up Diddy Kong Racing because that was the last time you saw Conquer the Squirrel as a kid's character.
Oh,
the next time you see Conquer the Squirrel, that dude's cracking a beer arguing with a freaking scarecrow.
Oh, Birdie, yes, Birdie, I love it. I love Conker. I mean, I know he's how do I put it? I would love for Microsoft to do something with him. I just don't think Phil really has
Oh, High on Life might change his opinion.
Yeah.
Because we saw High on Life totally freaking light Game Pass on fire because literally it was like a breath of fresh air because literally it's all like, and like, I'm sorry, and with his whole cancel culture freaking speech the other day, freaking A, let somebody work on Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see. I mean, I'm happy that High on Life did as well as it did because I mean, it is a good game. I enjoyed my time with it, and hey, I mean, I hope that that's an interesting theory, and I hope that they see the success of that game, and they're like, okay, you know what, we can experiment more with these more wacky, mature titles. I would love to see it just for the variety, right, in Xbox's portfolio, especially in Game Pass, just or the game library. Conquer, yes, please do something with Conquer, please, for the love of God. And even just again, like you look at just Rare's back catalog alone. Again, we're talking about like Rare Replay. They can do so much with what they have. So please, do Banjo, do Conquer. Hell, give me another Jet Force Gemini game. Or, again, another sequel to Killer Instinct, because that was a beloved game last gen. So, hopefully. Guys, anything else to touch on? Like GoldenEye related before we start heading out? Yes, no? Okay. All right. Well, I believe, guys, that about does it for this one. And I gotta say, really good stuff tonight from everyone on the panel. We covered, well, everything basically highlighted in the Xbox Direct. And, of course, the surprise drop of GoldenEye 007 onto Xbox platforms and the Switch. And, we touched on a little bit extra there towards the end. But really good convo. Really good. And, of course, I have to give a huge shout-out to all the wonderful people that hung out with us tonight. All you guys in the chat, you are awesome. And if you enjoyed our chat tonight, then please consider leaving a like and subbing to the channel, and of course sharing out this really great episode. I had a really fun time tonight, but then again, I usually do all the time. All right, well, we'll move on to the outros next, starting off with Eric Shockley. Buddy, hey, I really appreciate your input tonight. Where can all these fine people follow you?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, EZShock on Xbox Live. But yeah, definitely check some of these games out going into Game Pass with the GoldenEye and Hi-Fi Rush. Definitely check out the Dead Space, especially if you've never. It's definitely worth the money. Every aspect of it makes truly with this next gen remake that it now has the atmosphere that it never had. That with the lighting effects that you couldn't do back in 2008. So definitely try it out. You'll shit your pants, I'm sure. So, but yeah, good show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what we're gonna be touching on it next week because I want. Yeah, it kind of came out kind of late this week, and I know a bunch of guys on the panel just bought it, so I want them to digest the game. So we'll probably touch on it later on next week. Moving on, Centurion, buddy. Hey, awesome stuff as per usual. Where can everybody follow you?
For real, it was a great show tonight. Thank you to everybody in the chat that tuned in. Thank you for everybody that I interacted with tonight. It was great to actually chat with you guys and reminisce over the past. Definitely for those interested in finding me, you can find me at Centurion1307, Xbox Live, Twitter, and of course YouTube. You can also find me 2 hours before the start of this show on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood and the amazing gentleman over there. And you could also find me right after that show right here on TXR every Sunday night. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and that's it for me.
All right, moving on. GeneralMLD, buddy. Hey, I thought you had some really valid points tonight, some really awesome stuff. You always bring it, man. Where can everybody follow you?
All right, thank you. It was a great show. Had lots of fun. You guys can find me at MLD Ghost on Twitter, Gamertag Ghost MLD. And yeah, it's very positive times right now. I think Xbox is just going to keep the momentum going. Very positive times ahead.
Yeah, agreed. No, it's looking pretty good, especially in the near future. And of course, Mr. Crusader, pal, hey, you had a pretty awesome show yourself. Where can everybody find you?
Happy me tonight.
Hey, happy Crusader, happy life.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Right now I'm trying to source help. Looking for like 360 games that like I have to get physical, either because the backwards compatibility program doesn't have them digital, or they're like really good games but you can only play them on an original 360. So I'm sourcing some help with that on Twitter. So you can find me on Twitter at Crusader3456, and you can help me out with that if anyone has any ideas. I got Fear, the Metal Gear Collection, and Space Marines so far.
All right.
So, yeah.
Right. Very good, very good. Yeah, no, I got some Fear is great. Fear is great,
Yeah.
and Space Marine too. Space Marine's awesome. That being said, and of course Tim had to leave early, but you can find Tim on Twitter at XcloudTimdog. And hey, as for myself, Invader, you can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. Most recently, I've been putting out some GoldenEye 007 guides, so check them out if you've been playing GoldenEye and you've been wanting to get all earn all the different cheat code, like the cheats available for the different missions. I've been doing some speed runs, so I might be able to help you out. But yeah, guys, fun show tonight, and we look forward to seeing everyone on the next one. Later.